Okay, Gary, we hear a lot about fluoride in water. Is that something we should be worried about? Should we have a fear of fluoride?
I think so, yeah, because there are at least 40,000 published scientific papers which all show a long list of effects of fluoride on human beings and animals and plant life. Such effects include things like cancer, arthritis, Alzheimer's disease, thyroid problems, even cot deaths, and learning and behavioural problems in children, all sorts of different things. There is not actually a scrap of evidence to show that putting fluoride in water has any benefit at all on children's teeth. In fact, there's enough fluoride in a tube of toothpaste to kill a small child. Unfortunately, it seems that despite the fact that virtually 100% of all of the scientific studies which have been done show that there is a long list of dangers of fluoride consumption, there are virtually none which show that there are any benefits. Our own government in the UK remains determined to fluoridate the entire water supply of the United Kingdom if they can. And if it hadn't been for the determined efforts of the National Pure Water Association over the last 40 years, we would probably all be drinking fluoridated water at the moment. It's only 10% of the population of the United Kingdom has fluoridated water, and that's mainly in the West Midlands and the north east of England. Throughout the rest of the world, it's been virtually completely rejected in continental Europe, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Apart from sort of the Basque region of Spain and the Swiss city of Basel. In Europe at the moment, the Republic of Ireland is the only country which forces this poison on all of its citizens by law. But the opposite is actually happening in the United Kingdom, where we only have 10% of our population fluoridated, but they actually want to now change the law to fluoridate the entire population, whereas in Ireland it's been fluoridated for 40 years. But now there is virtually a revolution in Ireland amongst dentists and journalists and health professionals who are opposing it. Recently, the Irish Minister of Health in the Republic of Ireland, Michael Martin, who set up the Forum on Fluoridation in the year 2000 due to rapidly rising public concern about mandatory water fluoridation. And their report is now 6 months overdue, and two documents have recently come to light which may explain why. The first, despite Minister Martin's assurances that the report would be objective and independent, quote, reveals a web of pro-fluoride members within the Forum. And although the Forum website claims the chairman to be independent and have no interest in the fluoride industry, he was in fact on the board he was a board member of Galway University Foundation, along with Thomas McDonough, who is chairman of the McDonough Group, which owns Albatross Fertilisers Limited, which supplies fluoride to the entire Republic of Ireland's water supplies. And these two are also old business buddies. The document also demonstrates the connections of some academics within the Forum with multinational companies who are also heavily involved with fluoride. For example, Colgate, Unilever and SmithKline Beecham. And Dr. Don McCauley of Fluoride Free Water in Ireland commented, "A pro-fluoride forum, with all of its suspect connections, is not going to stop fluoridation. A Minister of Health who is more concerned in playing politics and protecting policy is not going to stop fluoridation." Unquote. In his information sheet, New Labour Health and Competence or Corruption, Pat Rattigan actually says, quote, "Tessa Jowell, Minister for Public Health, knowing that there is no evidence that fluoride reduces tooth decay in children, and having been shown conclusive evidence that the chemical is a major threat to health, is still pushing for a fluoride-poisoned nation." As far as I'm concerned, there is overwhelming evidence that the powers that be know that fluoride has no known positive effects on health. And in the 1930s, in fact, Hitler and the German Nazis actually commissioned German scientists at the industrial giant Farben, IG Farben, to produce a chemical which would narcotize the people in their conquered territories. and they actually hit upon sodium fluoride. This was also adopted by the by the Russians, and between them they actually decided to actually put fluoride in their drinking water because this would narcotize the populations, making them docile and submissive and stupid, in fact. And it also produces sterility in women, fluoride does, so it actually reduces the populations, reduce the population of non-Aryan species, in other words. Interestingly, Farben wouldn't have actually existed without support from Wall Street. And during the 1930s, the Americans who supported the Nazis actually collaborated, and there was a huge industrial cartel formed with Farben, including the Rockefellers and Henry Ford, and loads of other companies, including Colgate and latterly ICI, for example, and Procter & Gamble. All of these are pro-fluoride industries. And the Americans the CIA actually wanted a way of actually controlling their own population, so they hit upon fluoride. Now about 165 million Americans, half the population, are fluoridated. And basically it's because the CIA wants a form of mind control, and it's just an easy form. There are others as well. In 1976, the trained chemist and shadow health minister Margaret Thatcher advocated the fluoridation of water supplies in Northern Ireland. The Spanish government fluoridated the Basque region of Spain and nowhere else, and the Israelis fluoridated the Gaza Strip Palestinians. Coincidental? In Fluoride, the Controlling Factor, the naturopath Pat Rattigan actually says that the real reason behind water fluoridation is to reduce the resistance of the masses to domination and control and loss of liberty. In the rear occiput of the left lobe of the brain, there is actually a small area that is responsible for the individual's power to resist domination, and repeated doses of infinitesimally small amounts of fluoride, for example, the 1 to 5 parts per million in water fluoridation programs, will in time, by slowly empoisoning and narcotizing this area, make him submissive to those who wish to govern him. And in 1938, the US government, which was then an ally of the German Nazis, was considering the transformation of American citizens into, and I quote, zombies. The US Army searched for the perfect incapacitating agent, according to General Falenz of the US Army, to put in the enemy's water supply, the enemy being the American people. Fluoride was one option, LSD and the amnesiac BZ, which is 10 times more potent than LSD, was another. Fluoride was the eventual winner. That was the one chosen for the fluoridation of America and now most of the English-speaking world.